What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. Just notes that I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. Deposit $100 and you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposit $2,000 and you're guaranteed 30. Now, the offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with this market. So, looking at SPY, for those who are confused, I just wanted to say that we have what appears to be a rising wedge-like pattern, but this does not necessarily guarantee that SPY is just going to collapse immediately. You have to remember that because as of right now, SPY is still holding above this support trend line. So what this implies is that it's possible we get a small dip. We actually dip closer to like the 603s. I think it's very, very likely, if anything. But then as long as we don't lose this yellow trend line of support, we could remain bullish and continue to uptrend all the way up towards 609 to 610. I think that there's a good chance this is what's going to happen. And then once we reach that 609 to 610 targets, we'll be watching to see if we finally end up losing this trend line. If that's the case, then yes, we could start, our little pullback. So a move just like this could be coming. So hope that's as clear as possible, right? Even though these rising wedges do tend to have bearish outcomes, there's no sign that SPY is breaking support yet and turning bearish. We're technically on an uptrend. Now, what would turn me bearish? And here's just an honest assessment of this. We have our 20 EMA at 602.3. If we lose that, we dip back down to 600. If that fails us, we will once again turn more bearish. As of right now, SPY had a low down here at 590, came up, made a higher low at 595, made another higher low, and just continuing to make higher lows. So we're watching to see, can we make another higher low right here? Will we make a higher low compared to this low back down towards like 603 or so? And then we could just continue to uptrend going into Friday/Monday. There's a very good chance that's what's going to happen. And then they could be getting us ready for that. If we lose 602 to 600, then I will turn bearish, and then we will likely get a break from this rising wedge. But as of right now, it hasn't done that, so we still respect an uptrend. Even if we do get a small dip here, we could continue to uptrend for a bounce back up towards the 609 to 610 area. We have something very similar on the QQQ. Now, on the QQQ, our main support is going to be between 522 and 523. If we hypothetically lose 522, that's confirmation of a break, and then this will, turn bearish. But there's no sign of that yet. We're actually well above 522 right now. So yes, we could retest this trend line of support near 525 or so. And if we do test that, we could try to bounce, just continue this uptrend back up towards the 530 area. If that breaks, we're going even higher, so we'll be watching for a move like this. And then if 530 fails us, we're looking for a big rejection, a move right back down. Very similar to this. So we're looking for a move kind of like this. What I anticipate is going to happen is we're holding up very nicely on the QQQ so far, by the way, especially because of tech. We have Amazon's earnings after market close. That's going to have a big effect on this. Even if we do get a small pullback here to retest like the 526s, Amazon's going to have a big effect on this, and so will the unemployment numbers. For the Russell 2000, okay, the overall setup is bullish. We have an inverse head and shoulders, a left shoulder, a head, and then a right shoulder. If we break past the 230 resistance, we're looking for an attempt for 232. If we lose support at 226, we're going to be dipping back down, but for now, we haven't really done that. So it is possible we return to 228, then we try to break past 230, then we just start breaking out from here. It's always a possibility. We're technically on an uptrend, so a very healthy pullback from 230 is very, it's very healthy. 230 is a tough resistance, so getting a dip to like 228, would be completely normal. And then we'll see if we get a bounce from there to try to continue to go higher. For ES, same thing. We're getting a small rejection. I would say that we're kind of like respecting this rising wedge still. We could retest like 6,080 or so before it tries to bounce and continue this uptrend like this. We haven't lost our blue trend line of support. We haven't lost support yet on ES. So it's still bullish for the short term, okay? What I mean by that is, yes, you could dip a little bit, but then this is bullish. We're still making higher highs and higher lows. Haven't gotten that break yet, and it's still favoring that wants to go back up to above 6120. If we lose 6,080, we could turn back down, but for now, it's still technically favoring upside. On NQ, same thing, is making higher highs and higher lows. As long as we hold this blue trend line, we could continue this trend. So could dip here, just a little bit more. As long as we hold this support, we could continue this uptrend for about the 21,900s. For me to turn back to bearish, I want to see it essentially lose 21,600. If that fails us, then yes, we will turn more bearish. As of right now, it hasn't happened. It's still holding support, so it could dip a bit, but then we'll be looking for a bounce off 21,700 just to see if buyers defend us. Bitcoin is technically just riding this trend line to the downwards direction. It's trying to hold above it. I would love to see us reclaim 98,328. If that's the case, we're looking for 99,000. If we lose support right here, 96,000, we're looking for a dip. So we're holding support here. It could try to rebound, so give it some time to develop, and that's going to be very, very important. For Nvda, okay, if we break 126.6, we're looking for an attempt to push to about 130. If we end up losing 122, we're looking for a dip right here. So I think that we're still technically favoring, the upwards direction, but there's a tough resistance at 126. So I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of like dip here, shuffle for a little bit before it attempts to get a break back up to 130. Excuse me. So we're doing a good job so far. It could still break resistance. On the other hand, Tesla is getting lots of negative headlines about their sales declining in January. I said this many times, it's just 1 month, so that does not necessarily represent the whole year. The main support's at 363, because when you go back to the chart, just like this, we had a cup and handle like breakout from this 363 resistance. So that's going to be the main support right now. Previous resistance becoming support. If we lose 363, we're looking for a dip back down to about the 350s. If we hold around that 363 area, this could try to bounce. So we have to see if Tesla can hold 363 or not. It's barely holding it so far, so we'll see how things end up going. So please keep that in mind. For other factors out there, we have Apple. Apple has kind of like an inverse head and shoulders like structure. There's tough resistance at 232 basically. We'll see if we break past this or not. If not, we could be dipping a bit more to like 230 to 228 before it tries to bounce again. So I'm not surprised by a small pullback here. It's about 230, if not 228. Then we'll see if buyers defend. So give it some time. For AMD, we're dipping right here. We have to see if we could hold support. So I do anticipate it might be getting very close to the support around 107. We'll see if we bounce off this or not. So watch that very closely. On ARM, we have support at 161. We have resistance at 170. We're stuck in the middle. So we'll see if we get a bounce or not. But it's just kind of consolidating right over here. For Coinbase, we're on a bit of a downtrend, making lower highs right here. I would love to see this reclaim 277 to bounce. I think it could be dipping closer to like 272.5, if not all the way down to essentially our next support below that. So I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case or not for us. But anyways, going back like this, we could be looking for a move like this before we start to see an attempt to bounce, excuse me. So that could be what ends up happening. For Amazon, we're stuck between 235 and 240, stuck in the middle. This is just going to consolidate until we get earnings. That's going to cause a big bounce or a dump. We'll see how that ends up going. Meta is looking more bullish. As long as you don't lose 700, we're looking for an attempt to get up into the 720s. Microsoft looks more bullish. As long as we don't end up losing 416, we could be pushing for 420 plus. 420 to 422 becomes a potential target. And then Google also has support at 191. We'll have to see if this holds. As long as it holds this could try to bounce later on. As of right now, it's just shuffling. So this may be greatly dictated by Amazon's earnings. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, as far as SPY is going, we're trying to hold support. This could just be a small pullback before we get a big bounce later. I still think we might be pushing for 609 plus to fill this imbalance. So I still favor the upside as long as you don't lose 602. So keep that in mind, guys. Anyways, that's it for this one. Hopefully I clarified some confusion about the rising wedge on SPY. Yes, this could lead to an ultimate bearish outcome, but as of right now, we're not doing that. We're still riding this up. So if we do get some kind of dip like this, we may just continue to ride this up for the time being until we get a break. But I do think we're going to be targeting like 609 to 610 soon within the next couple of days. That being said, I thank you for listening, guys. Have a good one and peace out.